Nathan, do you know what a mistake in life is?
No.
Go to the grocery store.
Okay.
Don't grab a cart.
Yep.
Go to grab multiple things, but get the kitty litter first.
Oh, that's a mess up. That's a mess up.
That's a workout for the muscles.
I've done that before. I've gone in and I didn't get anything. I'm like, I don't even need like a little basket.
Yeah.
Didn't do it. Didn't bother. Fucked up. Hard.
Yeah.
And then one time I remember I got chicken and okay, so I had a little basket,
Yeah.
a little Red Riding Hood basket thing going on here, and chicken was on sale. And you know, I love chicken. I'm a big fan of that chicken stuff, the stuff that comes from chickens.
Great.
And I bought, I'm gonna say, I don't know, 80 breasts.
Oh.
Yeah. So literally the little basket was like breaking at the handle. Like it was just bending and coming in at itself. And like somebody who worked there was like, you really should have got a cart. And I was like, you think I should have got a cart? You don't think I know that? Okay. I know my mistakes. I live by them. I stand by those mistakes. So what's up?
Nice.
This is NameCast. This is our podcast that posts every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Took me a second. My name is Nathan, and beside me is my trusty co-host,
Kevin.
You said your name. It was good. I pointed at you. And
I actually didn't say it how I normally do.
No,
you're
you're
like Kevin.
Yeah, exactly. But you did a little different this time. So we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff today. Try to talk about some video games. We haven't played any, but you'll learn about that in housekeeping. And Kevin has a mystery secret topic, and I have some, I don't know, just a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. Some cool Patreon stuff, some social justice warrior stuff, maybe some video games. It's going to be good. But Kevin, first and foremost, we got to start it off with the housekeeping.
Housekeeping.
Love that. It will never get old for me. So, what games have I been playing? I'm gonna be real with you guys. I haven't played a single video game since last time we did a podcast. I'm sorry.
Your Stardew farm's just rotting away.
It doesn't go when you're not there, Kev. You don't need to be there every day. It's not
This ain't Animal Crossing.
Exactly. Animal Crossing is there every day?
Yeah, it's real time shit.
Oh my God.
Beautiful.
The last time I played was 10 years ago. They must be so
many
dead.
weeds.
There must be so much shit going on. Yeah, because my brother still has that DS. Oh, I got to check in on that someday.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I haven't seen you in 10 years. Like, is that what people say?
Yes, they will call you out
That's
on it.
hilarious. Well,
Great.
shit. Maybe next week I'll talk about some Animal Crossing. Probably not, because that will require a lot of effort and digging around. Blah, blah, blah. So I haven't played anything at all. I do apologize. I was doing a lot of assignments for school and stuff like that, but I have been doing some of the yogas, Kev.
The yogas.
Now, the other week, you and I, like good old Canadian boys, good old Atlantic Canadian boys to specify, we did a classic tradition for the St. Patrick's Day.
Yes.
We got real drunk and started at like, I'm going to say lunch, like 12 p.m.
Yeah.
It was great.
It was fantastic.
I think we finished at, I think I got home at like 4:10 a.m.
Yeah.
So it was a big long day. Had a good time. Now, I was feeling not as bad as I thought I was going to feel the next morning. I was actually feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
I was getting up, I was doing my stretches, I was having some fun. I was like, you know what? I just got to sweat this out. That's what I got to do. So I decided to go down to some hot yoga. Now, this is like yoga, but it's hot. So that's the thing.
Yeah, it's fully described.
I know. I'm just, for the people out there who don't know, not in the inside baseball of this, it's yoga, but it's hot. No, it's pretty hot, actually. It's like, I don't know, 35 to 37 degrees Celsius. That's hot. We run at like, what, 30? Like people? 32, 33?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so that's hot. That's pretty hot. So anyway, room temperature is 20. That would have been a better... Why did I go with human temperature?
I know.
Why was that? My mind was like, oh, the internal temperature of yourself. Well, no, not really. Normally, you're not in yourself. That's weird.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, that gets so weird. In my mind, it went a lot of places real quick. Anyway, so you go, you do that. It's hot. It's good. It's a good way to sweat it all out. But the thing about drinking the next day, all you need is water. I mean, you're sweating everything out. It's bad. So anyway, I get in there, and I pick a spot, and like it's a pretty packed room. And I'm like, fuck it, I'll just go at the end. And right by the windows, and the sun's just beaming in. So it's making it that much hotter, just like with the white right in your eyes. And I'm like, this is a great idea. I'll just go right here. So literally, we're just laying there in our starting position. And she's like, okay, now pull your legs up. And I pulled my legs up, and I touched them, and my hands were already slipping off them. I haven't done anything. So I'm like, I am sweating a lot right now. So I got about halfway through this thing, and then it happened. A gurgle occurred, and it was like a warning shot is the best way I can describe it. It was not good, and it immediately warned me of what was to come, and it was very not good. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna shit my pants and throw up in this nice place with all these nice people around me. This is not good. So I'm like, you know what I'll do? I'll get in child's pose, which, if I had to shit myself, it would have been that much funnier. Because if you don't know child's pose, basically you're down on like your knees and you got your hands in front of you and your butt just like sticking up in the air. So it would have been like a like
so
a
it's
cannon.
like the classic face down, ass up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Face down, ass up. And I did that for a while. And then the yoga instructor came over. She's like, "How you doing, honey? You're not going so hot." I'm like, "I'm gonna go outside right now." She's like, "It won't be too bad, but it'll be much worse when you come back in." I'm like, I don't think we have to worry about that. So I just walked out and like went into the change room and just sat there with my head between my hands. I was like, this is a terrible decision. Why did I do this? Oh man, it was bad, man. But that's pretty much all I got.
It's probably some good hangover shits.
Yeah. A lot of poop, a lot of sweat. It's gross. Anyway, what games have you been playing, Kev?
Nowhere near as much as previously it has been. Played some Zelda. Some good old Zelda. We're still continuing with the Let's Play and stuff.
You know it.
And I also have my own personal file, which is significantly further ahead.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm starting to get into like the meat of the game a good bit.
The meat and potatoes.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I've also been doing a lot of theorizing with Richard. He's been on the podcast before. About where in the timeline the game sits, and it's so interesting because like it has stuff from like every Zelda game. It has references to the original, to Link to the Past, to Wind Waker, to Ocarina of Time, to Twilight Princess. Like it's all over the place with its references.
Yeah.
Even like stuff that are supposed to be like separate timelines are all in this one game. So
you're assuming this is the furthest ahead timeline then?
Well, you assume because like a lot of this stuff must have happened before, but it also like doesn't reference any of this stuff happening in the past. Like it's weird. It's in a weird space. So I don't know. Maybe it doesn't fit in the timeline at all.
Right.
That seems like a Nintendo thing to do. But I don't know. It's super fun to theorize. But like I haven't joined the internet on theorizing yet because I don't want spoilers until I finish.
Now my question is, could we be dealing with like a multiverse situation?
Well, my original theory from when the trailer came out was I see a lot of different universe stuff in here. All the timelines like get merged together or some shit.
Yeah.
Some crazy ass shit like that.
Yeah, that'd be weird.
Yeah. But cool.
Very cool. Very
Yes.
cool. So I don't know. Because like, is there actually like a canonical timeline there or not?
Yeah,
really?
there is.
No, there is?
Yeah, whenever they put out the Hyrule Historia, it's a little like fan book for the 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
Yeah, they put everything on timelines, and there's at Ocarina of Time, the timeline split into 3 separate timelines.
Of course.
Yeah, so it's good.
Okay.
It's good
Okay.
stuff.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
What else, Kev? What else have you been up to?
So yeah, that's the only game I've been playing because I've been doing something
Doing a thing.
that you don't know about.
I don't know anything.
You don't know what I've been doing the past few evenings.
I guess not. We haven't really hung out much.
I know you've been busy working and shit,
Yeah.
doing evening stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, and this is actually going to lead into my topic. I have been writing a lot of C++ code.
Nerd. Yeah?
Not even that, but I've been writing a graphics engine.
Okay. Wait,
So-
what?
Pretty in-depth C++.
Holy shit.
And I've been using the Vulkan API for that.
Okay.
So for those who don't know, Vulkan is basically the new OpenGL. So it's kind of this like board collaboration made graphics library. It is very low level and very fast, but it's pretty cool. So
You're making an engine.
yeah.
Yeah, just for kicks?
Oh, graphics engine. Graphics
Okay.
engine and game engine are kind of
Yeah,
different
yeah, yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll become a game engine someday. But yeah, just for kicks, just to do the C++.
Now, is this really taking you back to your roots of, the schooling and all that stuff?
Yeah, see, like, So one of the motivations for me to doing it is because like I felt like I was kind of losing those skills from school.
Right.
But yeah, I'm getting right back into it really quickly.
Yeah.
And yeah, I still have a lot of like playing around to do a lot of kind of structure stuff. But
okay.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Now, what would be the big benefit to making your own? I guess describe what a graphics engine is exactly.
So graphics engine is the piece, or I don't know, huge chunk system of code that actually controls the rendering portion.
Okay.
So, like, even Photoshop has a graphics engine. Like Maya, like 3D modeling programs have graphics engines.
Right.
Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, pretty much every game has a graphics engine. You could even call like Dwarf Fortresses graphics.
Okay.
Being done by a graphics engine. So yeah, it's the engine that handles all that stuff.
Right.
Whereas a game engine would kind of handle that plus controlling all the objects in the game, plus sound, plus networking.
Right. So in
that kind of stuff.
In a lot of cases, a graphics engine is like a part of the game engine.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand now. So now, what benefit would you have from creating your own rather than just using whatever you're doing in Unreal or in Unity?
There really is no benefit if your end product is making a game.
Okay. Gotcha.
Like for me, this is an exercise. I'm getting to learn Vulkan. I'm getting to practice my C++.
Yeah.
Chances are this engine that I make is never going to be better than something I could just grab online.
Right.
Even like a full source code thing. But yeah, because like if I really wanted to make a game, like I would just use Unity or Unreal and just make a game in that.
But on the plus side, this will allow you to prosper and live long.
Sure.
Vulkan joke.
Yeah.
Not a Trekkie. It's okay. It's okay.
But anyways, I wanted to talk about how a triangle actually gets drawn.
Okay. Okay.
Because so this will be a little bit in depth, but
very in depth.
I think it's kind of one of those things where it's like, oh, there's so many tiny things that you just kind of never even think about. Like a surprising amount of just tiny things.
Yeah. And for people who aren't aware, like that's a commonly used phrase of time to triangle. That is very commonly used.
Yes.
Yeah. So usually it's used when describing
it's becoming less relevant because like post processing is becoming very important and stuff like that. But
back in the day, they were like, if you're working on a new console or something, like, okay, what's the time to triangle? And the time to triangle on the PS3 was real long because they used a weird processor. So it's a commonly used term. So now, what goes into this, Kev?
All right. So
you have notes done up and everything.
Yeah, because I wouldn't be able to remember all this. Like I was thinking, like maybe I can try doing it off memory, and like I tried like going through it in my head. I'm like, oh no, this is
doctor,
this is rough.
Okay, what are we getting into here? This is gonna be a deep cut episode.
Yeah,
that's good though.
So first off, you have to initialize Vulkan itself. So the actual graphics library, you have to be like, hey, can you please start? I'm going to use you.
Okay.
That kind of stuff. And then you need something that will actually make a window on the computer.
So, I may regret asking questions right now, but what is required in the initialization process? Like, are you just like start, or like what do you do? Like,
so you pass a bunch of data to it. So, like for example, some of the things I pass is like, what's this application called? What's this engine called? What's this engine version?
Okay.
All that stuff gets passed to the graphics card drivers.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the graphics card drivers could be like, oh, this is Kevin's engine. I have optimizations for that.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
So, yeah, it's a lot of, like, it's optional data, but it's data that could potentially be useful to somebody somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Along with that, it does stuff in the background, just kind of, like, getting itself set up and ready to start creating things.
Gotcha.
And next after that, you need something to create a window on the computer. The library I'm using is called GLFW.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that'll just create a window for the computer. I think it's actually compatible for Windows and Linux, which is pretty nice.
Handy.
Yeah. So the window is just the thing that will actually appear to the user.
Gotcha.
After that, you want to set up any kind of like debugging thing. So like things that will report back errors or information to you, you have to like explicitly set that up.
Okay.
Because if you're doing like a actual game that's going to go to the consumer's hands, like if you're doing your final build, like your gold release, you don't care about that information anymore.
Right.
So setting that up is optional just for speed reasons.
But it would be nice to have it set up, right?
Yeah, so you set it up while you're developing and turn it off whenever you go gold.
Gotcha.
And then we start getting into the meats and potatoes of it.
Okay.
So how low level this is that you ask Vulkan to get you a list of all the graphic devices that the computer has.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. This is really getting down there.
Yeah. And then from there, you can get like a bunch of details about what those graphics devices are capable of.
Okay.
So you can say, hey, I'm only going to pick a graphics device that's like a discrete graphics card. Like, I don't want that Intel onboard graphics bullshit.
Right.
So, yeah, you have to pick that specifically. Another thing about that is there are multiple graphic devices that don't necessarily do graphics.
Really?
Yeah, one thing, for example, like, there are graphics cards that you can slot into a server that don't even have any video outputs. Right? And you don't want to use one of those for a game, right? Those are for doing computation stuff.
Yeah.
Because the graphics card's able to do that faster than a CPU is.
Right. Okay. Huh.
So what you need to do is you have to be like, hey, I want to make sure I get a graphics card with all these capabilities. And then you need to set up it's called a queue family. What it really is it's an instruction list. Mm-hmm. And you have to be like, hey, in this instruction list, I'm going to put graphics calls for stuff that will be displayed to a screen. So you have to explicitly say that, like, to differentiate yourself from, I'm doing computational stuff. I don't care what happens to the image.
Okay.
And then after that, so because like you're at a physical device there, that's actually not that useful. So you need to create a logical device. So it's kind of just like an abstraction.
Okay.
And this is just so that you don't really need to care as much about that card specifically, that graphics device. You can just be like, hey, this is some generic thing. I'm just going to throw it at the generic thing, and it'll sort itself out.
So I'm having trouble following that part. So the abstraction is like a prefab saying like, this is where it is. Go to there, or no?
No, it's more like, so this isn't really how it works, but kind of the best analogy I can think of is, say, some people might have an AMD graphics card in their system, some might have an NVIDIA card.
Okay.
The physical device actually cares about which type that is.
Okay.
With a logical device, you're not caring about that kind of stuff. It's just like, this is what I'm actually going to use. I don't care so much about the physical details of it.
Right. Okay.
So they set up a logical device, and that's what you use in your programming stuff. After that, you get to start working at getting your window that's on the computer monitor set up.
Okay.
So what that is called a surface, because you're not drawing that entire window every time. You're just drawing part of it. So you have to get that surface set up, and that involves, like in my case, hey, GLFW, can I get a Vulkan surface from you? Hey, Vulkan, please use this surface. And getting that set up so that Vulkan will draw all its things to that.
Okay.
Then after that, well, let's get into one little issue right now.
Uh-huh.
So say you are just drawing the pixels that you've calculated immediately.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if you get partway through drawing all the pixels and then your monitor wants to refresh and show a whole new set of pixels?
It has to redraw those pixels again, right? No?
So it's not going to block. By default, it isn't going to block.
Right.
Your monitor has to refresh. Your computer can't stop that.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
So what would happen is you'd get half a picture with new pixels and half the picture with old pixels. That's called screen tearing.
Okay.
Which is a big issue.
Huh. Yeah.
And if you've heard the term VSync before,
Yep. Yeah.
that's vertical sync. So what that does is it actually makes two images. It says, hey, here's the last image that we used.
Right.
This is what it's telling to draw. And then another image, this is what I'm drawing to.
Okay.
And then it only updates once it's completed that whole image.
Gotcha.
Right? So that way it always has a full image whenever the monitor wants to refresh.
Wow. Okay, that's kind of cool, actually. So they're talking to each other like that. That's kind of neat.
So this is when we get into swap chains. That's what it's called in Vulkan.
Okay.
Is a swap chain. So swapping images. You can picture those images as being in a chain.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if it was just two, then a chain doesn't really make sense. And what's actually more popular is what's called triple buffering, which you may have seen in settings right beside VSync as well.
Yeah.
What triple buffering is say, hey, let's add in a third image.
Okay.
So that way, if we finish one image and the monitor still hasn't pulled another image yet,
Yeah.
then we can keep drawing to the next image.
Right.
And the chain can actually continue on. So the triple buffering nomenclature is kind of not true. There could be 4, 5, 6, however many.
Yeah.
Your graphics card supports, and the game can run.
Because that would allow you to be more efficient, because then it can draw more without worrying about.
Yeah,
the
so
refresh,
if it's
right?
drawing faster than the monitor can show, then it will always show the most up-to-date one.
Right.
Whereas with vertical sync, when there's just two,
Yeah.
it has
It's limited.
Yeah, it has to be at the monitor refresh rate, pretty much, or some even divisor of that.
Now, is that ever actually an issue in games? Like,
Is
that a problem?
Yeah, a lot of people don't like VSync because it locks your frame rate to 60. Or
Right.
if your graphics card doesn't hit 60 frames per second, if it drops below, even just a little bit below, for just a little bit of time, it'll drop all the way down to 30 frames per second.
Oh, because it's divisible?
Yeah, it needs to be in like an even divisor.
Gotcha.
Which, that's a really big jump. So a lot of people don't like that, so they usually enable triple buffering, which means the image that you're getting is technically 1 frame late, probably,
Right.
but it's always way more up to date.
And then with the triple buffering and further on buffering, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it, you don't have to be in that divisible number, right? It can be any state in there, right?
Yep. Yeah, so it's not locked to that
Gotcha.
frame rate.
Ah, that's cool.
Yeah, so that's called a swap chain, and you need to set that up explicitly. You have to say, do I actually want the immediate one with the screen tearing? Do I want the VSync version, or do I want triple buffering? And I think there's one other kind.
So now, are you doing
what it
triple
is.
buffering in your setup currently?
Yeah, I prefer triple buffering myself.
Yeah.
Well, actually, so this is the other thing too.
Okay.
Not all graphics cards support that
Really?
with Vulkan.
Okay.
Right. So you need to actually be able to say. So basically, what my logic is does this graphics card support triple buffering? If not, then let's go to VSync. If not, let's go to immediate.
And immediate's not good.
Yeah, immediate's a screen tearing one.
Right.
So, I mean, it's kind of good as it's the most up to date one.
Right.
But yeah, it can screen tear, which isn't great. So yeah, excuse me. That sets up the swap chain. So that swap chain is like a big list of images, right?
Right.
The thing is, you need to tell Vulkan in your graphics card how you're actually going to use those images and what they mean,
Okay.
right? Because, it is just like an array of pixels, but are they 8-bit pixels? Are they 16-bit pixels?
Yeah.
What color space are they in? Are they in linear RGB or sRGB? You may have seen those phrases before. So linear RGB means like if you have something with 0 red, then obviously that's black. If you have someone with 1 red, then that's, let's say this is 0 to 255. 1 red is just like, it's a really dark red. 2 red is twice as red as 1.
Gotcha.
And then that continues on. Like it's
Yeah.
always kind of linear. If it's double, then it's double.
Right.
Our eyes don't actually see like that. Our eyes are better at differentiating darker colors than lighter colors.
Our eyes are logarithmic, are they not?
I
I know our ears are.
No, not really.
Kind of. Are they not?
Uh,
I thought I was taught that
our
in
depth
school at some point.
perception. I think depth has logarithmic stuff. So like our focal range, logarithmically larger at further distances.
Okay.
I think there's that. And then, perspective is also
right.
kind of a form of logarithms.
I don't know why I thought that. Okay, anyway, yeah. Continue.
But it is actually, it's sort of, yeah. So we can differentiate darker colors better than brighter colors.
Right.
And what that means is that if we truly want the image to look as good as possible for the person, then we need to say more of these colors are for dark colors and fewer of these colors are for bright colors. And that's what sRGB is.
Okay.
So yeah, if you're ever in Photoshop and making something, now you understand why it says sRGB.
You know what's up.
That's what that S is. I don't even know what the S stands for.
Okay.
So anyways, you need to set up the images to be like, hey, I'm using these types of things.
Right.
You need to say stuff like, do I want the alpha channel?
Mm.
Alpha being transparency normally, but you can actually use it for whatever you want. And then after that, you're pretty far into being able to get an image.
Okay.
There's more to do.
Yeah.
So after that, you start getting into what the graphics card actually does when it tries to draw a frame. So one thing you may have heard, I don't know, like 10 to 15 years ago is this new fancy thing called shaders.
Ooh.
Previously, graphics cards before that were fixed function.
Okay.
In the sense that you'd be like, hey, can you draw this model for me? Hey, can you place this light here and point it this direction?
Right.
You're very explicit about what you wanted the graphics card to do.
Yeah.
What shaders are they're programs that you write and upload to the graphics card so the graphics card can run kind of custom code to draw its pixels and vertices and that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
Whatever way you want.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is you need to set up that shader stuff. So you have to specify what kind of shaders you're going to be using because there are multiple. There's more and more being made as things go on. So yeah, you set those up. After that, there are still some fixed function things that graphics cards do.
Okay.
Totally blanking on examples right now, so let me look at a graph super quick.
Examples. Nathan's talking about stuff. If you're a little confused, it's okay. I am too. But we're all learning together.
Yeah.
It's good.
So one of the fixed functions things is turning the vertices. So that's like your models, all the different points that are making up shapes.
Yep.
Turning those into pixels.
Okay.
The graphics card just kind of does that, and you don't have that much control about how it does that. But there's a few settings that you can kind of play around with. So it gives you control on how to do that. Another one is how it blends colors together.
Okay.
Because say, for example, you are rendering the game at 1080p, but the window that it's being rendered to is 720p.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Then it's going to have like 1080 vertical pixels that it needs to fit into 720.
Right.
So you can give it a few hints towards how you want it to convert that.
So how do you do that?
That's just programming method calls.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to come up with that?
Yeah, you have to call those kind of specifically to say, hey, this is what I want.
Okay.
Yep. And then after that, you have to set up your frame buffers.
Okay.
So this might kind of sound like I'm stepping on my toes from what I said earlier about the image views.
Right.
But what a frame buffer is it's the chunk of memory that an image is actually going to go into.
Okay.
So a frame buffer kind of exists on the graphics card, and that's like what it's directly going to pull from. It is much more simple than a image view is, but it's way more useful to the graphics card and your monitor and Windows and that kind of stuff. So you need to set those up, usually with a lot of similar settings to the image views. And you also need to say, hey, this is where you get your images from.
Okay.
So that's all great and stuff.
Yeah, all hunky-dory. Clear as mud.
But we still aren't actually doing any of the drawing yet. You aren't telling it how to draw the specific thing you wanted to draw. In our case, a triangle.
Yeah, because you were just setting everything up there, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here you need to do more setting up.
Okay.
But setting up how to tell it what to do, and that's called a command buffer.
Okay.
So this is what a command buffer is it's a chunk of memory that's going to hold all the commands that you're going to send to the graphics card.
Right.
So like,
okay.
hey, take this vertex data. Hey, take this texture data. Hey, take these shaders, and then draw. Right, all those commands get put into a buffer.
Right.
And then sent to the graphics card altogether.
Gotcha.
So you need to set that up. And then finally, after you do that, you can actually put in those commands. And you get a triangle.
Woohoo. So
then
how do you... So, okay. So how does a user then input images through your engine? I guess I don't understand that part.
So yeah, that's mostly what the that command buffer that I mentioned is for.
Okay. So what are you telling the command buffer, I guess?
So in the command buffer, you basically just tell it everything you'd set up. So let's say for a triangle specifically, let's look at a triangle that just has colors. The first thing you're probably going to want to tell it is where each point of the triangle is located. So those 3 points.
Okay.
You'll tell it those locations. And then you will tell it what the colors for those points are.
Yeah.
And then after that, you're going to say, hey, I want you to use this shader program.
Mm-hmm.
So what the shader program is it will take those vertices and pass those through the graphics card saying like, hey, this is where I am and this is the color. So it'll actually like kind of match up. Hey, I'm this vertex, I have this color. And it'll pass it on to the pixel shader or fragment shader. It has 2 names, unfortunately.
Right. Okay.
And then whenever it passes it on to the pixel shader, what the pixel shader will do is it'll be like, hey, I am between these 2 vertices, or 3 vertices, I guess. So I am going to take those colors of those vertices and kind of interpolate is the phrase for it. It's basically just like the mix or the in-between value.
Okay.
For, wherever that pixel is between those vertex points. And then you can do whatever you want to those colors. You can, I don't know, multiply them by 5, some stupid shit.
Right.
You can do whatever you want. And then once it passes it on, that pixel will end up on the screen.
Right. Okay.
It has to go through the frame buffer stuff and, get resized if you're rendering 2 different sizes than the window is or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's the rasterization thing that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically all you're doing from there is you have everything set up so you can just kind of throw your data into it and it'll process it through. But the thing is you usually throw in all your data and then you say, hey, draw this thing.
Right.
You want to like only say draw like as few times as possible. I think what's usually optimal that engines kind of strive for is let's just do like a classic kind of like open world thing.
Yep.
You would render all of the terrain and objects together. And then after that, you would render water and that kind of stuff because it has like a bunch of special properties that it needs to do.
Right.
And then after that, you would render like your HUD, your UI.
Okay.
Yeah, so that would only be like 3 draws.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what's, I guess, an area where different engines would differ? Like, where are key turning points for different engines?
They're usually only just kind of slightly above this. So let's consider like a first-person shooter or an open-world game.
Gotcha.
So with an open-world game, I mean like a corridor kind of first-person shooter, one that's mostly indoors.
Like Doom?
That kind of stuff. Yeah, like Doom.
Gotcha.
So for an open-world game, you're going to have these big vistas and be able to see very, very far and all that kind of stuff. So you have to be careful about, you can't draw all that stuff. Like, it'll take the graphics card forever.
Yeah.
Right? Your frame rate will be really low. So it does a lot of stuff like, hey, this is really far away. They can't see much detail. Let's get a significantly lower detailed model and texture, and we'll draw that instead.
Okay.
So those engines kind of focus on, yes, we know we're going to be drawing a lot of different things. Let's draw them at the lowest, or let's make sure that they can draw as quickly as possible.
So let's draw it like this for now, and hopefully the player doesn't notice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And those kind of games that are like that, you'll see like pop in, as it's called, when you notice something get higher quality all of a sudden.
So something I was about to ask before you finish going to the other side here, is that something that can be addressed within the graphics engine itself? Like,
so yeah, that's normally kind of like fine tuning stuff. And there's actually a lot of visual tricks that goes on.
Yeah.
There's a Firewatch GDC talk about their art and stuff.
Yep.
And they actually talked about a lot of tricks that they use to avoid the player actually noticing pop in.
Oh, really?
So sometimes they would just put like things that catch the eye, so you look a different way. Since like that game, they know where the player's going all the time.
Yeah.
They generally can tell like where the player's going to be looking.
Yeah, because I remember, I mean, it was a lot older, but in the first Jak and Daxter game made by Naughty Dog, anyway, it was like one of the first times where it was like a no loading kind of thing.
Yeah.
And what they would have is like some far off things in the distance. And then as you were getting close, when it was going to pop it in, the camera would literally lock up and like turn to another direction so you couldn't see it. And then when you come back, it's there. So it's good to know we've improved a lot since then.
Like back then, it took like a long time to add things in.
Yeah.
Like, it was a big problem.
Okay, so anyway, so what were you going to say about the corridor shooter then?
Yeah, so that's how open world does it.
Yeah.
With the corridor shooter, basically you have this big level, but you know that a player is only going to be in one space at a time.
Right.
So what you want to do at that point is, the technical term for it is like a quad tree or an occ tree.
Okay.
They divide all the objects and stuff up into boxes, and then they're just like, hey, the camera's looking at these boxes, so we'll draw these boxes.
Right.
So that way it's not drawing stuff that the player's not looking at. Say, like, behind the player, there's a door with shit behind it. Like, just don't draw that.
Because if you're only drawing what's in front of them, then you deal with less issues, right? Because in a game like that, you want very fast, twitchy.
Yep.
No fucking up.
Yeah.
Basically.
So, I think it was Quake, which was the first game to use something like that.
Yeah.
What they used is called binary space partitioning.
Okay.
And this is actually super common in games even to today. That's where, like, you know this like kind of trope a lot of times in games where you'll be in this kind of like big room, you'll finish it up, and then you'll open up a door which leads to a hallway.
Yep.
And at the other end of the hallway is another door.
Yeah.
And you open up that door, and there's another big room.
Yeah.
What it's doing there is it's saying, hey, when this player is in this room, unload and stop drawing that last room,
And start
load in and start drawing the next
Yeah.
room. So yeah, that's binary space partitioning and saying, hey, the player is going to transition from this one space to this other space, so there's only two things going on. So yeah, like I was saying, Quake is the first engine that really did that, and how they managed to do like full 3D.
Okay.
At the time when nothing else was.
Yeah, because they weren't able to do stuff like that in Doom, right? So.
Yeah, Doom was also faked 3D.
Yeah.
It was just a bunch of 2D images laid out and transformed in a way that looked 3D.
Right, until
which
was
is
like, I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is also why, like, you could. I think you could in Doom 2, but in Doom 1 there wasn't multiple levels.
Yep.
You couldn't like be on top of another area that you could be at.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's some deep shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully people are a little bit curious about how a triangle gets drawn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So much stuff to it. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to need a broom to sweep up my brain because you just blew my mind, bro. It's a whole thing. Yeah, if you have any questions about that, though, leave them in the description, and I'll make Kevin answer them because I don't stand a chance. But, so how have you found this experience so far? Has it been, well, obviously a big learning experience, clearly.
Yeah. It's funny because, like, in university, we did a very similar thing to what I'm doing now, but we used OpenGL,
right,
which isn't as low level.
Yeah.
So it kind of feels like I'm retreading that a bit, but like with just more stuff thrown into it. But also feels really, really cool because, for I don't actually program at work, but the game I'm working on it's been in development for 8 years.
Yeah.
And something just that old and that big, like it's got this very kind of defined and very cluttered system. Like there's just a whole bunch of stuff that's been added in there, stuff that's been removed. Like after time, right, it just gets messy. It's like adding wires to a pile and trying to take wires out. Like is the best kind of analogy I can say for like an old code base. So now I have this new thing that like I am just starting, and it's so small and so clean, and I can see like exactly how to divide up everything.
Right.
So it's
90
really
years
nice.
old. Yeah, exactly.
It's a really nice change from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Cool. So do you think this is kind of something you can take towards your workplace, or like just this knowledge? Or I guess it's good to have, right?
Yeah, it's good to have, and I don't know, like doing projects is always good for the resume. Like, yeah. Not that I'm like particularly looking for a job right now or anything, but
no, but it's always good to continue to bolster what you know, right?
Yeah, continue to learn, continue to show your skills, if you need, especially in like recent stuff, because like, Vulkan's only been around for a couple of years.
Yeah,
like, Doom was like the first big game to use it.
Right.
So yeah.
Oh, do you mean Doom 2016?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Doom 2016. So yeah, it's really really cool to have this kind of cutting edge knowledge. I guess.
Well, I mean, it's such a new industry, so being on top of
changes
new things,
is
exactly,
important.
Because changes are happening all the time, right?
Yep.
Like,
definitely.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, you'd be screwed if you didn't learn new things. You know what I mean? Like, you'd go into a studio and you'd get laughed out of there if you were using 10-year-old tech. Like, it just wouldn't really work.
Yeah, there's
like no.
Yeah, people like do get let go for just not being able to keep up.
Really?
Like it's a problem, especially for like I don't know, older people, I suppose.
Yeah.
There's been more changes in some areas than other. Like an old designer's just as useful as ever, really, because you learn design as you go. You just have to. You have no choice there. But for example, animation has changed so much in 40 years or whatever. Yeah. And how we draw stuff now is way way different. Like in most animations, it's 3D now, anyways.
Right.
If they learned how to do like 2D animation on Flipbook, that's very different than how it's done today.
Yeah, exactly. And something about a designer. I mean, well, as a designer, you're kind of working with the player, and like, how much is the player really going to change in 40 years? I mean, maybe a little bit, but like, you're still working with the human mind, that kind of thing.
You're still trying to make something fun, and I don't know, like even just starting design, like you're just trying to make something fun and testing around.
Yeah, and the concept of fun is kind of like, I wouldn't say it's a constant, but it's not changing that often. Like, we're still playing chess. You know what I mean? Like, that's a pretty old game. Yeah. Cool, dude. Wow, that was a deep ass dive.
Yeah,
the deepest of dives. I think that's the furthest we've ever delved into any
technical stuff.
Any super technical stuff. So seriously, let us know what you think about that kind of stuff. If you want us to do more shit like that, I'm sure Kevin's chomping at the bit to talk more super, super deep stuff, which is intense and hurts my head. But it's good. It's a good head hurt. It's nice. I love head. I mean, what? Anyways. I don't have a whole lot to talk about, but there is one thing. So now, if you know me, I talk about it all the time. The kind of funny guys. Mm-hmm. I followed them for a long time. Anyway, if you don't know them, they're, I don't know. They started off as like IGN editors, and then Colin and Greg left, made their own company. It was pretty successful through Patreon and things like that. And one of the co-founders of the company tweeted something out on International Women's Day. Mm-hmm. And he got a lot of hate for it. Now, you'd assume someone who'd get a lot of hate, he ended up losing his job. Mm-hmm. People were freaking out on the internets. You'd figured he'd had to do something pretty bad. Mm-hmm. You know what he did? He tweeted, peace and quiet, #a day without a woman. And the reaction was ridiculous.
Yeah.
People were freaking the fuck out. To no end, to just persecuting him and just really going after him. So he was like, fuck this. And he ended up quitting the company that he was working at to then start his own thing, which, he just launched yesterday. So like this all happened within a week. He announced he's quitting. He then went on the Rubin Report, talking to him, doing his whole thing. He's now scheduled for Joe Rogan on Friday, which is just crazy. But anyway, and then he launched his Patreon, and he launched his Patreon yesterday, and it's already at $35,000 a month. Whereas the company he was working with, their main Patreon was at $20,000 a month.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's one of those things of, it sounded like everyone was going after him, yet he's getting so much support when he's gone.
Yeah.
So I feel like that SJW mentality is just so vocal that it seems like they're a much bigger crowd than they are, but they're just a very loud crowd.
Well, yeah, it's like, that's biggest reason I don't like the SJW stuff is 'cause, like, the warrior term, like, it's about attacking people and going out at them and stuff, and part of that's being loud and mean.
Yeah, and I don't know, I'm kind of starting to get some friends like that on Facebook, and it's kind of annoying. Yeah. But I don't want to block them out or not view it, because then I would just do what they do, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know where the right place to come down on something like that is. I mean, I don't know. The closest thing I got for how I want to do things going forward is with this idea, which is something Colin said, which is one thing will bind us: a thirst for knowledge, discussion, debate, and ideas. Which, I don't know, it's really intriguing to me. And it seems like, we're getting safe spaces at universities. This is something I've tried to talk about so much. But I don't know if this is the right podcast to talk about it on. See more on that later. Hint, hint, hint. Future stuff that you don't even know about, Kev.
Oh.
I know. So anyway, but you just got to hint at it right there. Anyway, so, yeah, man, I don't know. It's just, are we approaching the end of that? Or has this been something that's always been going on, but without the internet, we hadn't really seen as much of it. You know what I mean? Like this stupid mob mentality and just these echo chambers of people believing they're right and taking nothing from the other side and just being so ignorant.
Yeah. I don't know. It's this weird kind of like, convince yourself you're right.
Yeah.
And then, if anybody who's wrong argues that you're wrong, then no, they're wrong.
They're wrong.
Right? You're deciding who people are before anything's said.
Exactly. They're wrong, and they're a fascist too, right? You get people saying things like that, which they don't even know what fucking fascist means. But it's, I don't know, man. I think we're starting to see at least a bit of an uprising from the other side to be like, no. Stop. Just please stop. Like we're gonna put an end to this somehow. Please. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of hyperbole. There's a lot of just ridiculous comparisons of things. Like if someone does something you don't like, they're a Nazi.
Yeah.
Now fuck that shit. Like that's, if anything, that's probably more racist than what they're saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because then you're trivializing. Is that the right word there? You're
belittling,
demonizing. You're basically taking away the fact of how bad Nazis were. You know what I mean? Like to say, oh, because someone calls you by the wrong gender, they're therefore as bad as someone who, killed a lot of Jews. Like that's not exactly a fair comparison, and it's making light of a very serious situation. So I don't know, man.
On the other hand, I do have to say that SJWs have been significantly toned down compared to what they were a few years back.
Have they, or have you just got more used to it?
I don't know. Like, I think people used to get attacked more then. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's just been fewer of the people in my space.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I'm seeing a lot more like people being vocal about, both sides have good points and stuff. I don't think anything's near where it was like the Gamergate level stuff where like, either you hated or you were not a fan of games journalism and you're a sexist pig.
Right.
Or you thought games journalism was great and you were a feminist.
Right.
Like a hardcore feminist. Like you're only like you chose your side based on your opinion on games journalism, which is just so weird.
Yeah.
Like it was actually at such a fervor at that point that like that was just how things were, and that was made sense for everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just weird, like kind of being on that stuff where it was like games journalism does kind of suck, but I don't know. That's align myself with more feminist views than anti-feminist views. So
yeah, exactly.
What am I?
Yeah, I mean it's two separate issues treated under the same balloon. It's either you're this or you're this. Well, why can't I be this? You know what I mean? Like, it's not exactly a binary system. And I mean, I think something that a lot of people have to realize, and something I have to remind myself, is that regardless of what you believe and how firmly you believe it, there's another side to that story.
Yeah.
Like, there's people just don't do things thinking that they're doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
That's not, I mean, maybe psychopaths, but like that's not what people do normally.
Yeah. Well, just like in general, like, you know, most situations are so complex.
Yeah.
That, you know, they can't be true all the time. There are contexts.
Yeah.
Where, you know, it could be false, or, you know, vice versa.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, if someone's doing something, they have a reason for that action, and they have just as much thought process going into it as you have in not agreeing with what they do.
Yeah, like, like usually it's kind of just like people are living in two different contexts, and you know, you can educate each other on your context and come to an agreement, but that doesn't happen on the internet because...
No, that's not going to happen when, you know, someone gives their point of view and you call them a fucking fascist or a racist or whatever.
And the majority of a conversation happens in 140-character tweets.
Exactly. And I mean, you're not going to get that mentality when the people that you're talking to all the time in your Facebook and your Tumblr and what have you agree with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like your Facebook feed is designed to agree with you. That's what they do. That's why you see what you see in Facebook. There's a reason for that. They don't want people seeing things that they don't agree with because then they'll spend less time on there.
Yeah.
So I can understand how they're doing that, but does that, I don't know, who does the moral impetus fall upon to make us a more open society in that sense? Like, is that something that Facebook should keep in mind? Are they making immoral actions by doing that? By setting up that mindset? I mean, I don't know. I mean, they're making their product more user-friendly, but they're also setting a precedent for a alarming social situation.
Yeah, I think it gets really bad if, you know, they're doing anything to kind of block potential knowledge learned from, you know, people who see things differently than you. You know, if you can't search out that knowledge because of what, you know, whatever social media company is doing, that's bad. I don't think they've crossed that line yet, as far as I know, but I could definitely see a reason for it.
Well, with regards to searching out the knowledge, I think that would be quite a step. But if you're not seeing it, how are you going to even think about it, right? Like, it's, I don't know.
Well, I also think the moral responsibility of people is to search out those other views rather than have them like those views come to them. Right, because like if we do expect that, then that means we have to get, I don't know, sexist like going into feminist people and be like, I see things this way. Right. And, you know, feminists going to sexist people and be like, I see things this way. And that doesn't sound good at all.
No, I definitely, I get where you're coming from. Something I'm trying to get myself in the habit of, and maybe I'll help get you into the habit of it too if you're listening out there. Whenever I come across an argument that I feel I agree with, I then try to look up all the counter arguments with it. Yeah. To be like, well, are there any reasons as to why someone would maybe not go down this path? And usually you find some good ones and you're like, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. I still stand where I stand, but I can understand how someone can disagree with that. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I mean, I guess, but when you're presenting your argument, that doesn't make it the most compelling argument when you're saying, you know, you got to go with me, but they do have some valid concerns, but you got to go with me. You know, it doesn't make you the most compelling argument, but at least it makes you a fair one. I don't know. That's where I'm coming down on that stuff. I'm really, I've been taking a big, deep dive on a lot of SJW things and political issues right now, and not so much with the states. I mean, a little bit with the states, but like, I'm kind of getting sick of people talking to the states all the time because I don't fucking live there. Yeah. So I really don't want to fuck with their politics.
It's also kind of predictable.
It is kind of predictable. It's a little bit of a shit show, and I mean, you know, the budget comes out and everyone's like, oh, the budget's terrible. What the fuck do you expect? Yeah. He's a billionaire who's only giving money to his billionaire friends. Like that's exactly what you would have expected. I mean, some of the bills that are getting close to pass are kind of alarming. Like, it's probably never going to pass, but the idea of just closing down the education department in 2018. Yeah. Have you seen that? It's like HR 899 or whatever. Like, what the fuck? That's a little scary. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. But I don't fucking live there. Like, you know what I mean? And that's something I've noticed. Just being do you mind me just going on this kind of political talk? So, being Canadian, whenever I say to someone, are you into politics? They start talking about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That is upsetting to me.
Yeah. Do you know what actually happened to me today?
What?
I was walking up to Triangle, which is a restaurant here, and a reporter stopped me along the way.
Okay.
And she's like, "Hey, do you know anything about the new PEI conservative leader?" I'm like, "No." Said the person's name, I didn't recognize it at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And she wanted to ask me questions and stuff. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know anything. Like, I felt so bad.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
So now, has that given you maybe an idea to become more involved in your local politics, or because that's the shit that's literally going to impact you?
Yeah. Like, I think like if I was ever going to get involved in like political stuff, it would definitely be more local than that kind of stuff. But also, I don't know, my interests don't align so much with politics. Like, I don't know, it's not an entertainment for me.
I understand that it's not an entertainment, but if you're living in that environment and you're impacted by the changes that go on there, shouldn't you make that a priority? Like, I don't know.
Well, I also have to balance it with, like, I don't know, time I take to develop my skills by doing C++ programming, stuff like that, right? There's not infinite time, which is a very unfortunate fact of the universe.
No, absolutely. And I hope it doesn't come across as me trying to lecture you or anything, because if anything, I don't put as much time into understanding local and federal politics as much as I should.
Yeah.
Maybe, and like even the municipal stuff, like I don't.
It's probably true for everybody. I'm sure it's true for some politicians.
Yeah, and maybe that's something that should be addressed from maybe more of a base level, like with regards to school.
Education should probably.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if. It's funny the memories that stick with you, but I remember I was weird thing, but anyway, I went to private school for a very long time. It was like a one-room schoolhouse, and one of the quotes that the teacher had up, he's a real weird guy. He got like he had his PhD in philosophy, and he would just like teach everyone. He was like used to be a pro hockey player. He was the weirdest of guys. Anyway, he had this quote up on the wall, and it said, "Our school is not producing an electorate who is able to understand many political issues," and it was by Rorty. And it's just, that's kind of something that's always stuck with me. And I'm like, that is so correct. Like, it's not, I don't know. It seems like something that no one cares about unless it's ridiculous and over the top and like a reality TV show, which is exactly what is going on in the States. Like that's, it's, find out the next thing wacky Trump said, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's all of this over the top, focusing on the absurdity rather than the actual political issues that are going on, because I mean, they're dry. It's a dense process.
I don't know. Do you think we'll ever figure out how to make that information entertaining or something that people like want to seek out?
Well, I think there has to be passionate people who are willing to want to make that entertaining. And that's something that Colin's trying to do with Colin's Last Stand, which, obviously there are people that, sure, there are people that are supporting that just to support him. But if you're getting $35,000 in 24 hours, it seems like people want that type of content. Yep. And that may have something to do with the secret side thing I'm working on. But yeah, exactly. But I certainly hope so. Yeah. And I certainly hope, I mean, my only idea is that it has to come from someone like our generation or around our age to make it appealing to the younger people. And hopefully that will continue onward. But I mean, it is happening with YouTube channels and things like this. Like there are people that are breaking through the bullshit and listening to, like, actually watching Parliament in action and then breaking out the key points and making them in an interesting way. You know what I mean? And there are people that are doing that, maybe not in the best way, and maybe someone needs to do it better. But I hope so.
I particularly like the Vlog Brothers videos.
They're quite good.
Where they do very short videos that are very information dense and make it interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Green
Brothers because they're great talkers.
They're great talkers, and those guys are so smart.
Yes, they are.
Oh my gosh. You have John, he's like this really great writer, and then you have Hank Green, who's just like, fuck.
One of those people who does everything. You're just like, Do you live in the same 24 hours each day that we do?
I don't think he does. I don't think he sees time in the same way. I don't know. I remember one time he was live streaming, and he was literally just live streaming him reading through emails.
Yeah.
Oh, it was good, man. It was good. Yeah. Wow. We talked about games very little.
We talked about graphics engines. That's very relevant.
Your game wouldn't run if it didn't have a graphics engine. So there. Yeah. So, cool. I forgot to hit the let's get into it thing. And I'm thinking about hitting it now, but I'm not. I think I'm just going to end the episode.
You could edit it in.
I could edit it in, but I'm not going to, seeing as this has to go up in half an hour and it's going to take like 2 hours to render, so it's not going to happen. We ended up getting it out late, ladies and gents. We were going to record on Saturday, but St. Patty's Day was Friday, and you heard all about that adventure.
Yes.
It didn't happen.
Saturday was a sleeping day.
It was a sleeping day. It was good. It was a lot of fun. Anyway, we will leave you guys here and catch you guys next time on NameCast.
Bye.
Have a good one, guys. Bye. That's a good one, man. That's a good one.